Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video is going to be our fourth installment into our match analysis series. And this replay features Dymags98, my friend from the Mortimer Aquam clan, playing in the Des Moines, the Tier 10 American heavy cruiser. He's divisioned up with a couple of his buddies, Aloop and Sinite. They're playing in the Montana and the Henri IV, respectively, the Tier 10 American battleship and French heavy cruiser, and they're playing some domination here on the map Warrior's Path. So, our fourth installment in our match analysis is going to show you basically two games in one. For the first half of this replay-ish, D-Mags really isn't going to do that much, and I'm going to pick him apart, quite honestly, for his positioning, for where he took his Des Moines in this game, and just, there's just not much going to happen, to be honest with you, until the Cyclone hits. But when it does, oh boy, when it does, he's going to go absolutely ham. And when I mean absolutely ham, I'm not joking you. It's going to show you exactly why the Des Moines, when it's in close quarters combat, is just completely brutal. And the peculiarity of its AP shells that will come in handy, and something that, well, I think the majority of players do know when they play in the Des Moines and also the Baltimore as well. Of course, what I'm referencing to is the super heavy shells and that they get better normalization angles, but I'll get into that once that part of the replay comes. So, first of all, he's going over here towards the B objective. This is a pretty good play to make in a Des Moines. Generally speaking, on this map, the B and the C caps are the better places to take your Des Moines simply because you have a lot bigger islands to be able to use for cover and concealment. You can see over at A, there's a lot more islands, but they're not as big and they're a lot smaller. So unless you have a destroyer that is able to provide you a smokescreen further enough away from the cap, well, it's kind of tricky to go over there because there is a lot of open water. However, if you do get to the G line, and you put yourself either in G7 or G8, what's going to happen, and also F7 and F8, these are really good places for the Des Moines to go. And because it has pretty decent turning, it has a pretty good rudder shift, and of course the extremely good rate of fire, if you're able to put yourself into one of these positions to help out the cap, it's very difficult to get you out. And really the only thing that is going to is either A, another Des Moines, which can, stay with you for rate of fire, or a well-placed battleship salvo. Now, what he's going to do here is actually, again, this is a very good play. He's getting some side shots into enemy ships that are trying to move into the sea cap. Now, of course, the Des Moines has very lazy shell arcs, but again, it's the penetration on these guns, which is fantastic. On a Citadel, it's 5,000 damage with the AP rounds, and of course, the rate of fire, you can get it down to 4.8 seconds before you factor in Adrenaline Rush. So right now, D-Mags is sitting here just to the right of the island at F6, and he's pumping some side shots into the enemy Des Moines. He hasn't gotten a Citadel yet, but he's already done 13,000 points of damage to that guy, so obviously that's a pretty good chunk of change that he's able to do. You can see that he is backing up, and why is there an Eisenhower in this game? Somebody must have been failing divisioning pretty hard right there, but I digress. Again, he's sitting here next to the island. This is a pretty good spot. One thing that I particularly don't care for is a Des Moines that kind of sits in one place, and by sits I mean just kind of moving forwards and backwards in the same spot. Because this thing doesn't have very good deck armor, 16-inch guns and above absolutely destroy this thing. It really any angle. Your bow armor is 27 millimeters, so it can keep out 15-inch shells, but the deck armor in places is just not thick enough to be able to stand up to those big caliber rounds. So D-Mags realizes this, and he was also getting shot at from the left side by the Moskva, who was over in Alpha, so he is now moving forward at full speed, or 3/4 I should say, to reposition himself. So a very good job right there of keeping aware of what is off to the left. There's also an Izumo and a Montana, and of course a Des Moines that is sitting still is a very easy target to Citadel, so he is moving out of dodge. Now he's going to hit a bit further to the east. He's looking for some shots here at the enemy Montana. He has the high explosive shot loaded, and there we go. And then all of a sudden the enemy Des Moines once again appears. He immediately switches to the armor piercing, and this is exactly why you do not want to get caught on the broadside by a Des Moines 8-inch salvo. You can see here getting some very, very nice shots right there. 18,000 points of damage with a triple Citadel and 3 penetrations. Very, very nice stuff. Another 2,000 damage on the follow-up salvo, and you can see here that this Des Moines that he is shooting at, there's just no way for him to escape. He is not going to be able to live and get out of this situation. Another double Citadel for 11,000 points of damage. He is using his repair, but unfortunately for him, he is about to kick the bucket, and D-Mags actually stopped shooting at him right here. Now, this is a big mistake, and the reason why is because, well, as you guys know, I play competitive, and a ship is not dead, of course, until it has 0 hit points. So it doesn't matter if he's got 3 fires and you know his repair is on cooldown. You keep on shooting at the guy until he kicks the bucket. Because letting a ship like that get away on low health, of course, the Des Moines has a heal. You know, maybe he gets in concealed again. Of course, he does just die right there from the Henri, who burned him down tonight, his buddy. But there's always a chance that the ship can get away, and that's something that, you know, finishing kills. It's very, very important. So a misplay right there for Dymags, not finishing off that kill. But again, you saw that he thought that he already had the kill in the bag, so that's why he stopped shooting at him and made his turn. So now at this point, he's heading again more towards the eastern side of the map. He's now going to put himself into a questionable position. Now this corner part of the island right here, Des Moines is actually in a really good spot right here, and it's able to shoot over the island corner at enemy ships that are at least 11, 12 kilometers away from him around the sea cap. However, there's an enemy Shimakaze over there 9.2 kilometers away. So at this point, he is in a really good spot right now if that Shimakaze wasn't there. But, you know, all it would take is one solid battleship salvo from either the Gneisenau, the North Cal, or the Montana to be able to, you know, significantly chunk his hit points. And of course, he's also in a position where maybe the Shimakaze has not dropped his torpedoes yet. I don't know 100% for sure right now as I'm speaking, but you never know if the Shimakaze's torpedoes are still, you know, on cooldown. And it appears there are some salvos, some shells coming in from the Montana. He does take one shell that's over penetrating, but now the Hindenburg has a pretty good angle on him, and because that Shima is still alive, he's not going to be able to get undetected here. So, yeah, I really don't understand, per se, why this position was chosen. Again, when there's no Shimakaze over there to spot him, it's fine, and you have all these islands to be able to lob shells over. But with that destroyer there, you know, it's not looking too good. And then, of course, he's not within radar range as well when he popped it. The Shimakaze got out of dodge, and now he's dropping more torpedoes on his friends that are over there. So he is doing the right thing, and he is switching his fire there to the shimmy. But it appears with this salvo, yep, there we go. A loop manages to take care of business. More torpedoes coming in, and I'll be honest with you, Dymags really hasn't taken that much of a beating. But now that the Shimakaze is dead, this position is much more viable. He is now able to shoot over the corner of the island and not get detected. Now the Cyclone is coming in, and it's also 425 to 519. He's up to 57,000 points of damage. So again, an okay amount of damage dealt so far, but you know, no real influence exerted over the game thus far. There's also more of the shimmy torp, so he is going to have to speed up here to get out of the way of that final torpedo that is on the left side of that salvo. And now, once again, he's going to try to creep up to the edge of the island and get some more shots over the corner. Now, something to note here about these lower lying ends of islands, like this one right here. You see he's creeping forward and he's still shooting stealthily, but as he creeps forward just a little bit too far, what I'm guessing is that the Montana is going to be able to catch a glimpse of his superstructure. And there we go. He's not detected by an aircraft, so that means that somebody has to have line of sight. And since this corner of the island is very low lying, you can see that he is detected, and immediately 3 ships aim at him. Again, the Des Moines is rather weak when it comes to tanking battleship shells, and also the Hindenburg is sending some shots his way, and a nice little cinematic right there, watching the shells come in from the perspective of the bow. But at this point, what was a 60-point game has all of a sudden become over 400 points. It's 315 to 714, I should say, almost over 400 points. Now make that over 400. And yeah, it is not looking good for his team. They still have 7 ships left, while the enemy team has 8, so they're not out of it from a ship count perspective. But at this point, the point totals could not be any worse. You can also see the Montana is chasing down the friendly Yaguma that's over at D6. The Moskva and the Azuma are also making their way over towards B as well, their only cap point that they have. Dymags has gotten a few more fires lit on the Montana, and you can see the damage counter is ticking, but then he drifts a little bit too far forward, and now once again he's going to have to back up. And a Des Moines that is backing up is a sitting duck, and it's very, very easy to punish. Now his fires do manage to take care of the Montana, but it really hasn't helped the team out all that much because they're still down by a very significant margin, and we're now in a 6 versus 6 situation. So at this point he needs to get on the sea cap, and like I mentioned, the first half of this replay, it really wasn't anything special when he sent it in, and that's why I was just kind of confused, like, you know, man, this result that you have is ridiculous. Where does this result come from? Well, get ready folks, strap yourselves in, and I'm going to explain exactly why this happens here at the end of the game. So at this point, it's 350 to 744 as Dymags is turning to port, and he is going to make his way on to the Charlie Cap. Now, Des Moines armor piercing. This stuff is filthy, and the reason why is due to the normalization angle. Every other nation in the game has 30-degree normalization, which means if a ship is angled at you at a 30-degree angle or going away at a 60-degree angle or more, if the shells hit the side of the hull, they're going to bounce. It's a guaranteed ricochet. It's very similar to the ricochet mechanics in World of Tanks. Depending on the angle, there's an auto bounce, hence auto ricochet angle. With the Des Moines and also the Baltimore preceding it, it's 22.5. These super heavy armor piercing shells are able to go in at angles of 22.5 degrees or more, or on the other side at 67.5. So you can see the Hindenburg is quote unquote angled to Dymags right here. It doesn't matter. 6,000 points of damage right there on that guy. He's trying to angle a little bit more. Only when he hyper angles and almost goes bow on is he able to mitigate the damage. But you can see here the very, very consistent 8-inch AP that is going into his side, and he managed to take care of that Tier 10 German heavy cruiser. So ship number 1 taken care of. Now as this Moskva is getting ready to poke his nose around the corner, once again, this if he was in anything else than a Des Moines or a Baltimore, he would not have the penetration to be able to get through the angled bow of the Moskva. And we're going to pause it right here as he shoots. You can see the front part of the bow right here. We're going to pause it at 8:49 left in the game. You can see here the shells that are going in towards the Moskva. He looks like he's angled extremely well. It's less than a 30-degree angle, but it's not less than a 22.5. So what's going to happen here when I start the video up here again? There we go. The shells are going to fly in on the target, and a Citadel waterline shot. Of course, it helps that he gets the detonation, but the fact of the matter is that he was able to get that detonation because the shells were able to penetrate at a very, very steep angle. And that's something that a Hindenburg would have not been able to do. That is something that a Henri IV would have not been able to do. Something that a Minotaur would have not been able to do. This is something that is unique to these American heavy cruisers that have the shells. And now he gets to munch on a broadside Minotaur. Oh boy, look at all of that filthy damage he's doing. 4 Citadels with some other penetrating hits. More shells going in. Make that 8 Citadels. Oh boy, I don't know what that Minotaur is doing. Absolutely no idea. Make that 9 Citadels. It's now 418 to 811. It's a 4v4 at this point. The Minotaur is down to 6,700 hit points. He is using his heal, but all that's doing for Dymags is giving him a little bit more extra damage to farm. There we go, the double Citadel. He's up to 17 Citadels right here. He also picks up the high caliber, and now he's switching his focus here to the North Carolina as he takes care of the friendly Amagi, and we're now going to pause the video yet again. You can see the angle that the North Cal is at. Of course, the high-tier battleships have 32 millimeters of bow and stern armor. The angle that he is providing right here, something like a Hindenburg, something like an Henri IV. Once again, I'm rehashing this, but you can see visually that this North Carolina looks to be angled well enough. And when we hit play again right now, take a look at the damage that Dymags is able to do. He picks up Confederate with 4,950, another salvo out, 9,500 damage dealt, and it's only when the North Cal goes pretty much full bow on do the shells finally start to ricochet. So then what does he do? He switches right into the superstructure shot. And that's something very important that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of the battleships have the armored conning tower. So if you hit your AP shells right into the front part, the thickest part, you're going to be able to do some pretty nice damage. He also baits the North Carolina to shoot into the belt armor. A very poor play by the North Cal. All he had to do was aim at the bow and he would have been A-okay. And now that he's got the broadside, you can see about 7,000 damage right there on that last salvo. And there we go. He picks up the the Kraken Unleashed as he gets his 5th kill of the game. And if you've lost track of the damage total, 245,000 points of damage. And what was once a 4v4 only 30 seconds ago is now a 3 versus 1. And the Izumo is going to be coming over here any second. Now he pops his radar and there we go. The Izumo appears here right in front of him at 7.7 kilometers away, and now he's going to get more armor-piercing shot into the broadside of this guy. The Izumo does turn back to port to try to angle well enough here, but you're going to see where Dymags aims when he switches to the high explosive. You can see here he is now starting to bounce, and really quickly here, the Izumo shells that will be coming in, notice where they hit. You see I'm circling at the front of the bow, and any second now, there we go. You can see 2 shells hit right at the front doing 12,000 points of damage. That Izumo knows exactly exactly where to aim, but so does Dymags as well. If you aim at the upper part of the Izumo, you're going to get a whole nice load of high explosive penetrations. There we go, 4,300 damage, and this Izumo is about to kick the bucket. He's loading the AP for the kill shot, and there we go. Alrighty, guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. 827,000 credits received and 10.7k total EXP. He picked up Confederate Dreadnought Kraken Unleashed and High Caliber, dealing 276,000 points of damage, dealing 284 shell hits. He had 6 enemy ships destroyed, 1 plane shot down, 5 fires, 17 juicy citadels, 1 assisted base capture. Taking a look now at the team score, 3,599 base EXP. Dymags, my friend, that is one hell of a carry. His other buddies coming in 3rd and 6th place, respectively. Taking a look now at the detailed report, 255,000 damage dealt with the main battery, and of course, what I harped on throughout the entire video, the AP shells. 225,000 damage alone dealt with the Dememes American piercing rounds. He also had 879,000 potential damage and had 34 of the 180 capture points for his team, and he was also able to tank a pretty healthy 62,470 damage. So Dymags, thank you very much for sending in this replay. I really do enjoy featuring your stuff on the channel. And yeah, with that being said, this is the Sneaky Snake for Brothers in Arms World of Warships. Please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, or possibly subscribing to our YouTube channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And with that being said, have a great day, folks.